Hello, hello. Can you guys hear me? Give me just a second. Guys, just setting up all my stuff again. I'll tell you everything in a second. Okay, nice. At least you can hear me. A bit crunchy. Maybe my mic is out. How about now? We could just the other thing. Oh. How you guys have been? It's been a while, right? It's been almost 3 weeks. Almost. So the thing is, okay, let me tell you the whole story. As you might have heard during the streams, I had to visit my parents, the countryside, literally at the other side of the country, and it was so nice there that I didn't want to come back. Honestly, the only reason I came back to the city was to stream, because my parents' house doesn't have enough bandwidth to stream for you guys. So that's the only reason I came back, because over there it was just so nice. As you can see, I'm still using my countryside my countryside notes. But yeah, it was nice. It was nice. I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun basically not doing anything, not working. No, I didn't dump you. On the contrary, I came back only for you. If I didn't have to stream, I would have stayed there for months, really. But yeah, no, it was very useful. I needed that. I needed some resting. It was very, very nice. And the other thing that happened is that I had to still, even though I wasn't able to stream, I had to take my laptop over there in case of anything happened with work. So I had to bring it back and put all my setup together again, and most likely it wasn't going to be 100% from the beginning. That's why I was asking you about the audio and all of that, because I had to assemble everything again. But yeah, hope you guys had a very productive couple of weeks too. Today is the first Animaitsuki challenge review in a long time. I don't know how many months has it been, because honestly, I do not manage the Animaitsuki. I just correct them. So from time to time, I would ask Dango or Chi, the moderators, like, hey, when are we going to have the challenge? And they said, like, maybe next month, and it finally happened on September. So now we're going to review the September submission. Okay, and as always, if some of you guys are new here, remember that you can ask me anything on the chat, and I'll try to answer. And apart from the animation critiques we're going to do today, as you might have heard, I actually regained access to the Marshmallow account, which is that account where you can just leave me questions, and I was supposed to read them on stream. After like 10 months, when I was locked out, I was able to log in again. So now I can actually read your questions. So we're going to read all of the questions, even the old ones today. Um, I don't know if probably we're going to do like something like one critique and a couple of questions and then another critique and something like that. So we don't like make we don't make two different streams in one. Okay, let me read a bit of the chat. A bit crunchy. No, I didn't dump you. uh Sirius is asking, where do you submit for the next critique? You have to join the Sakuga Foundry Discord. Uh, it's in the description of the video, beauty or stream. It's in the description. You can join there, and you will have the channels where they will explain you the next challenge. Because we are going to give you October to do the next challenge, and then next month we're going to critique those. Okay. Okay. We have a lot of submissions this time. So let's see how much detail we can give each one. But I saw some very good ones. I didn't see all of them, but some of them were very nice. Oh, I have to go to T. Well placed. So, then remember, I'm not going in any specific order, and when I critique your stuff, I'll mainly critique the things that just catch my eye. Okay, I'm not going to do like a super in-depth critique of everything because we could spend hours and hours on each one. So hopefully we will be able to do it fast. This one is from oh, by the way, I think the theme of this month was standing up. I think that was the animation that you had to do with freedom of characters and all of that. In the timesheet, probably the from Gabriel Gomez, and the duration is seconds and 15 frames. That calculate that seconds. Yes, the duration is okay at least. Now let's see the animation, loop a couple of times, and we will see what we can get from it. Okay, of Psycho. I think I never watched the second season of Mob Psycho, but the first one was very cool. Okay, first thing that really calls my attention is the perspective. It is pretty distorted, right? I think that's the most notable thing. It looks like if I look at it like this, my eyes say that something like happening. The wall, and this will be the floor, and the character is like this. a tilted floor. Kind of a very forced perspective. So that would be the first thing to take a look at. And I'm not going to correct it all myself now because it will take forever. But I'm going to look at the animation. Okay. By the way, let me know if you can hear the noise outside my window because it's very noisy. If it's too noisy, I'll try to mitigate it. Okay, first thing, very good that it has the anticipation. I actually try to do this myself a lot of times. Like I try to stand up from my chair a lot of times to see the natural movement, and this is pretty much what we always do. We shift our weight, the weight of our upper part of our body, to the front. We use our hands to stand up. Now, there's a couple of problems with the drawings. First one is that the legs almost do not move at all. There has to be a change of balance. I know maybe if you stand up like very straight, like your legs will move very little, but it looks unnatural that the lower part of the legs do not move at all, right? It looks like two different animations. And the other thing that I think we're going to find a lot on the other ones, because I still looked at a couple of them, is that okay, most of the characters do the anticipation. They lean forward, then they stand up, but then they just use one key to remain straight, right? When you stand up, and you can just try it, like in real life. When you stand up, there's actually like a very big change of balance of the weight of your body. So remaining straight like this and not moving one bit is almost impossible. So what do I think should happen? They should have something a bit like an overshoot. The character should be able to stand up and then settle a bit in another position, just a tiny bit different. Like for example, he could stand up, and this pose could be with the character just. This is the character. First position could be with the character leaning just a tiny bit back, and then he settles again to the final position. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? You should try it like with your chair, and you'll understand what I say. But I think that's what I'm going to find on most of the other cuts. Still, I can see a lot of effort. Like even though the legs themselves do not move, I can see that Gabriel tried to move the pants and all of that. So there's still a good deal of effort. But apart from that, the first thing that I think Gabriel should try to fix is the perspective, because it is the first thing that caught my eye even before I looked at the character. Okay, but okay, it's a nice try. I don't think I should be nitpicky with this one, or any other, to be honest. You can see some differences in volume, for example. Like, look at the size of his head here. Is different to here. I know he's looking like down, right? But the volume still is different. And here, his head is longer. You see, it is very subtle, but if you want to go like a bit deeper, those are the other issues that this cut might be having. Now let's take a quick look at the timesheet to see if everything is in order. Oh, but first we're going to look at the spacing. Okay, we have A1, A2. I'm guessing. Okay, I'm going to make a guess. I think what this is spacing chart like this with an empty middle, and then one in between for like closer to the second key, A2. So let's look at the timesheet. Yes, I guess that's pretty much it, because there's only one. Okay, I think most people would understand, like if you send this to a studio, they would understand, but it would be even better if you did it this way. Like, do a dotted line in the middle if there's nothing there, instead of the actual line, because the person that's reading might think that you just forgot to put your in-between in there, okay? Look at the other ones. 2. A3, there's only one in the middle. Oops. Okay. The other issue here is that your keys are very, very long. They're lasting forever. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. That's a quarter of a second. That's a very, very long time for having just one drawing not moving. You could have made more in-betweens here to fill that space. You could have adjusted. I think everything would pretty much work on 3s, maybe 4s for like this pose, for example. When they are like anticipating, you can use 4s, like 4 frames, so it stays there for just a tiny bit of time. But yeah, some of your keys are super, super long. This one doesn't really matter because it's the first one. Like you can leave the character there, not doing anything for a bit, but then you have this big space right here, right, that you should fill with something. This is the same. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in between that last 5 frames is just too long. In betweens at the very, 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 very most should be 4. But honestly, even I think I've never seen an in between that lasts for 4 frames. That's like the maximum. Okay. Very good that you did a squiggly line at the end and didn't continue it. That's how you do it. They said the duration is correct. And everything looks okay. I'm not going to ask you to fill this because not even I do it. Your producer might ask you to do it. Let me just take a look at the spacing charts here very quickly. Same. Be careful with your spacing chart. Try to make them as precise as possible. Okay. Try to mark the middle very precisely. If there's nothing there, you do the dotted line and then the middle very precisely, right? Because here the middle is here. one might think sometimes that you wanted to move this in between, like closer to this one, and you could do it, but that's not the correct way to put it on your spacing chart. Okay. Let me read the chat for a second. Hello, a lot of people. Okay. I don't know if Gabriel is watching, but you can watch the video with you. Good submission. Thank you for thank you for submitting. Hope to see the next one, and hope the critique was valuable. Okay. And let me close this one. I'll read the chat for a bit, and I'll read some questions from the marshmallow. Okay. Amos is asking, question, can we submit keys and in-between submissions for the challenge? You mean that you want to submit everything in between? That's a good question. I think... Okay, I'm going to make a guess. I think the moderators will not like it. Remember, I am not the one that organizes the challenge. I just correct them. Correcting something that's already in between will be way harder than correcting just the keys. So I think that they will probably tell you no. What you could do, maybe you can send me just a normal submission, like the one we're looking at now, like just your layout and your timesheet, and then you can also send me a preview of everything in between, but just to look at it, okay? But do not make me critique the thing with with all of the in-betweens, because that would take forever. Okay. Okay. Archel saying, how was your vacations? They were amazing. I didn't want to come back. Actually, I am trying to convince my parents to get a Starlink so that I can stream from the countryside, because it was just so nice. I didn't want to come back from. Leo is asking, is it okay to in between on twos for a brief duration? Yes, you can do it. It's up to your criteria to see when you need twos, threes, ones, and so on. But yeah, you can do it for certain occasions. Oh, Gabriel is here. Nice. It was useful. Good to see you here. Carmen is saying, "Oh shoot, I would love to join in on this if possible." I think you still have a lot of time to do it. Go to the Sakuga Foundry Discord, and they probably have all of the things there already. But I think you have time to join for the one we are going to review next month. Arshel is saying, glad to hear that sometimes it is the best to be away from the noises of the big city. Yeah, that's the thing. It's the noise. It's the noise. My parents have a big plot of land and a tiny house there, and there's just no noise at all. Like no cars, no nothing. Just maybe some birds, and it was so weird to be there. I even like avoided using my headphones and stuff. I just tried to be in silence most of the time, and it was very, very nice, very, very needed. Okay, let me read some of the questions. I'm going to start from the recent ones, okay, and then I'm going to go back to the ones that were asked several months ago. Okay, this one was asked about an hour ago. Um, oh, by the way, they're all anonymous. I think I'm pretty sure they're all anonymous. Okay, someone's asking if I want to start Japanese in the Japanese animation industry. Do I actually need to work my way from Nigen to second key and then to finally become a Genga animator? Because I believe that I have Genga level right now. Like I've been animating for 3 years, and I've got a point that I'm feeling ready to start a career in the industry. Okay. Um, you have just a couple of um, conceptual mistakes because you say, do I actually need to work my way from Nigen to second key? That's pretty much the same. It's the same process. Nigen and second key is the same process. It's just all differently when someone else does it. Like the person when the person that did the layout does not do the Nigen and it goes to someone else, you call it second key, but it's the same process. Okay, but I understand what you're saying. Like you're basically asking me if you have to start from Nigen and then go up to layout, uh, which is like the whole Genga process, right? Um, okay, there's not a fixed uh, way this is going to happen. What's going to happen probably is that you're going to post your stuff on Twitter, and the producer that contacts you first is going to decide what job he's going to give you. Generally, if you're new, like you haven't worked for the industry yet, and it's noticeable in your work, uh, the producers are going to give you second key first, just to test you, to test your skills and your um, and if you're a responsible worker, and so that you get used to the pipeline a bit, so that you can see the corrections and all of the stuff. They will most likely make you start with second key, but there's also the possibility that they'll just give you layout. Okay. um if you know your notations and you know your timesheets and all of that very very well, like we explained on the previous streams, I think you may be all right, but it would be wise to let them know that it is your first job too. Okay, so they're a bit more lenient with you. They'll be a bit more patient if you make a mistake or you are a bit late. You should still let them know that you're just beginning. Okay. It's funny because we freelancers or foreign freelancers, we talk about like beginning from second key, right, or from Nigen and then going to layout. Like, but the animators in Japan, they begin from in between and cleanup. Like they begin from even they begin from even like more assistant level jobs. So we actually are very lucky that we get to animate, do actual animation, like key animation and second key animation from the very beginning. Because if we were in Japan, like following the normal route, we would be probably beginning as apprentice in-betweeners at some studio somewhere. So yeah, consider yourselves very lucky. By the way, sometimes people ask me when I say when I call people assistants. Remember that when I call people assistants, I call them like that because that's how we call them in Western animation to the people that do in-betweening and cleanup. It's not the guy that serves you coffee. It's the assistant animator. It's an actual is the actual name of the work. Okay, so don't think I'm diminishing the assistant animators. Okay, second question. This one was asked 20 hours ago. Hi there. I thought layout is about rough drawings, but when I browse through Twitter, uh, most layouts look too clean and neat. Do I need to draw the layout neatly or keep it rough? It's difficult to say because I don't know what you're looking at. A lot of the times, people on Twitter uploads not layout but Nikan, because that's what the studios allowed you to upload, because they're already corrected, right? So they're nicer drawings. Layouts are generally rough. They are rough enough to be done quickly, but they have to have all of the details necessary to continue the processes of animation. I've showed you a lot of layouts during the previous stream, so you can go to the layouts stream, basic layout stream, and then we have a long discussion of the actual quality you should have on your layout. Okay, but yeah, that it's a bit difficult to know exactly what you're talking about because I don't know what you're looking at. But if you see something very, very detailed, it's very likely that it is not layout, it is actually Negan. Okay? Okay. Let me read the chat for a second and we go to the next submission. Marshall is saying, the only downside of the countryside is the goddamn mosquitoes. Oh, we almost didn't have any mosquitoes, thankfully. I don't know why. We still had to close all of the windows at night, but I didn't get like stung, I think, or bitten by any insect, which is rare for me. I I always get bitten by insects for some reason. I am the only person I know that have been bitten by a ladybug more than once. Do you know ladybugs bite very, very hard? They do. Okay. Arshel say they begin from the worst. Are you talking about like in betweening and cleanup? Yeah, some people might consider that it's not a. I mean, it's a necessary job, right? But it's very labor intensive and sometimes an ungrateful job, right? But also you can learn a lot and become very fast if you spend some time doing in betweening and cleanup. It was when I was in college and we had to do our shorts and stuff. The last 4 months of the year, I would in between and clean up all day, every day, and I became very, 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 very fast doing it. So it's actually worth it to spend a period just doing that. Okay, Nor Anime is saying, is Sakuga the finished product? No. Sakuga is a very, very, very loose term that kind of means sketch in Japanese. Like if you pass it through any translator, he's going to give you like a sketch or a drawing. The Japanese don't actually use it. Don't use that term officially for anything. In the West, we kind of use it to talk about like some impressive or very cool animation, but again, it's a very, very loose term. It's not a technical term, so do not think too much about it. Silius is saying they do hurt. You got bitten by a ladybug too. They do hurt. They do hurt, especially when you don't expect it, because I don't think most people know that ladybugs actually bite. Okay, last question, and we go to the next submission. We're probably going to be here like 3 hours. That's our new um average of duration. Okay. Well, you have a long name. Los Bichos de Alex. Hi, what can you tell about variable frame rates? I've seen some old shows where they go between ones and fours in the same motion. For example, 1133, 413. Yeah, that's called frame modulation, and that's normal. I mean, it's not that pattern in particular is not necessarily normal, but that's how you actually should think about your animation. When you get some practice and get you don't have to think too much about your timing and stuff. um, you will be able to do frame modulation very easily, and you will not have to think like regularly about, okay, I'm going to animate this on threes and you do everything on threes, or I'm going to animate everything on twos and you do everything on twos. You actually begin uh, using the amount of frames you need for whatever part of the movement of your animation. That's called frame modulation, when you just use twos, threes, fours, ones interchangeably and more freely. Okay. Okay. Next submission. We're going very slow. This. By the way, what anime is this? I think I know what anime it is, but I don't want to say it. You guys tell me what anime it is. It's probably something very popular that I should have watched already, but I haven't. Actually, I should read I should just look at the today. Omoe no Tegami. Is that the anime? Okay, it wasn't what I thought it was. Okay. Oh yeah. It looks like a movie animation. So let's look at it again a couple of times. Very nice. It even has a pan up. Nice. What do you guys think? It looks really neat. Let's look at the timesheet. Okay, so 2 seconds plus 21, that is 48 plus 21. That is 69. Let's see. Can it cut? Oh, the timesheet is not cut. Okay, that's a mistake. Let me 2 plus 21. Let me reconfirm. 2 8 69. I have to cut the timesheet. By the way, who's this person? Leo, remember to cut. Otherwise, people will be very confused. Okay, I already see some problems here in the name sheet, but let's look at the animation first. We go to the name sheet. When you play it, it looks pretty okay, right? It does have the same problem as the previous one. Do you remember that I told you that I thought we were going to find this on several submissions? Just stands up and stays static there, which is almost physically impossible. Again, I would have added an extra key, like a tiny overshoot, and then a settle. Because remember, the balance of weight when you stand up is actually very considerable. So it's almost impossible to stand up and just stay there like frozen. Okay, so try to add an extra key for that. Right. Okay, the poses look pretty good actually. Like the movement is very convincing. Even the timing is very good because it looks like she's actually putting a lot of weight on her knee here, and she takes enough time. She does an anticipation, then she goes up. That's working perfectly. I really like it. What I think might be happening, and that I'm nitpicking now because they said it looks pretty good. I think there's some variation on the volume of her head. You see her head here in the first pose has that size, but then it grows, or at least her face grows, and then it got small again. See, and it's also changing shapes a lot. So this one is very refined. This one is round, and then it got a bit like more angular. You have to be careful with that. Like it's not terrible for like an animation that sometimes that happens in layout, but when it comes together with some other stuff like volume stuff, your animation becomes messy. So try to keep both the volumes and the shapes of your characters, especially if we're talking about the head, because the head is the most important part. Here, look, this part here, this part grew a lot. Head tiny, head big. Then it gets pretty tiny again. I know you maybe the person that was doing this was thinking that as she was standing up, she sometimes gets closer to the camera and then further from the camera, and that's valid, but I think it is a bit exaggerated. Like it's too noticeable. So you should try to balance that a bit better. Now, again, the animation itself looks great. The timing is okay. The weight is very good, which is actually like the most difficult thing when you're doing this kind of movement. Now for technicalities, I see that you have facing charts here, but I don't see any in between here. I think the 46. Yeah, you forgot to put your in-betweens here. 46 should be there, the timesheet. Otherwise, we will, when you read the timesheet, you will think they do not exist. Okay, let's see some other ones. 40. One here. Again, try to make your spacing charts as clear as possible. If this one is closer to 37, again, I think you're probably using a combination of Japanese anime format and Richard Williams format, because in anime we do not name the frames with the number of the frames. We just name the keys in the order of the keys. Do you guys understand? So in this case, this spacing chart, okay, 5. Yeah, you're doing it the Western way. Let me try to explain you very quickly without confusing you more. A5, here's 37. Okay. In anime, if we have two keys, like our pegs here, know that it is a sheet of paper. We have key 1 and key 2, and we have in-betweens in the middle. I don't know, 1, 3. In which of the two keys I'm going to draw the spacing chart? So in Japan, we draw it here on the receiving. Okay. In the West, depending on your format actually, but more like Richard Williams format, you do it the other way around. You do it here. Like the animation survival kit will tell you to do it here. West. Is it wrong? No, not really. It is the same, but the format is important when you're working for Japan. So if you're working for Japan, do it like the Japanese do it. Okay, do your spacing charts on the receiving keys. And you do not need to tell me the number of the frames here. Okay, we can see them in the timesheet. What you need to do is, if you wanted to do this, just do this. Whatever you want to put it here. You need an arrow telling me where the movement is going forward. And we already assume that there's a key here, there's a key here, and this in between, how do we know where it is? We look at the timesheet and it will tell us where the in between in the middle of those two keys are. Okay, so that was the problem here. Like you're using a weird combination of anime and Western formats, but the animation, it's okay. It's just a format that is kind of messed up. And you also did a pan up and HB. And HB, you don't need to do pan A to be here, you can is this no pan A from you have to finish it like very very precisely. Uh, be here. There's absolutely no doubt where it begins, where it ends. Okay. Uh, would have liked to have seen the notation here on the preview. It should be there. Okay, when you do a preview for a layout professionally, the camera notation has to be visible um in the preview. I don't know if you have a CSP. Okay, it is notable on the CSP when you show me what's outside of the camera, but the notation should actually be inside of the camera. Okay, we need to be able to see it in the preview. Okay, because uh, the producer is going to take your preview like from the camera, is going to put it with all of the other um cuts and do like a rough version of the movie, and the director will look at your stuff and say like, oh, that there's a pan up there but I don't see the notation, like did he forget to notate it or something, and it will be just that you did it outside of the camera. Okay, so make it visible inside of the camera, and remember to cut your timesheet, basically. Okay, but again, very good animation. I actually liked it a lot, and it's also good that you used uh, a base color for the character. That's also very good. Now, if I wanted to be extra nitpicky, which I shouldn't, we could try to um, when characters have this kind of clothes with tons of lines, you don't necessarily have to do them exactly the same all the time. Oh, music got very loud. You don't always have to count 23 lines on her t-shirt, okay? Like, it's almost impossible. But you should at least try to make it look like the um, spacing of those lines is similar, so that is not that noticeable. So here, look, it looks like a ton of lines, right? And they're very close together, but when she stands up, there's very few lines and they're more separated. That's one of the things that the Sakan would spend a lot of time trying to correct for you. Okay, so try to pay a bit of attention when something like this comes up again. Okay. Okay. Let's read the chat. What you guys are saying. Where can I submit my work? On Discord. Yes, thank you for answering that. The movie. Phyllis is saying it looks like a Ghibli style. Yeah, it looks like a movie animation. Silas is asking, how many frames is there for overshoot to settle? Like 3 frames? You have to test it. It depends. Generally, it could be 3, 4 even. If it is like a big movement. I'll probably do 3. Like thinking if this were my animation, so I will probably do 3, but I will still test it. And if it doesn't work, I just move it 1 more or 1 less. If it's a very fast movement that needs to settle, it could be even 2 or 1s. As I said, you can just test it and see how it looks. Leo saying, I am more experienced with the Western way now. Only recently transitioned to anime. Yeah. We all go through that. But yeah, I noticed your Westernness. uh, Still, well, at least most of the Western animation stuff I work still try to mimic Japanese animation, so I haven't had to like invert my formats very often, but I'll have to be careful when that happens because sometimes you just forget to do it and you do it the other way around. Marshall is saying, is it like that in all Japanese studios? What is it like that? The format? If you're talking about the format, then yes, it is like that in all Japanese. Elijah Evan is saying, WYD. What does that mean? Remember, English is not my first language, so I have a bit of trouble with those shortened words. Hello, George. Okay, let's read let's read more questions from Marshmallow before we go to the next next submission. Okay, this one is interesting. Someone's asking. Previously, you have the natural way to draw to get better at drawing. It means I mentioned that book to learn how to draw. It's called The Natural Way to Draw. From it, people usually talk about gesture drawing as an important exercise. But the book, it also includes other exercises that I don't see get as much attention or elaboration. I would love some tips for those and which exercises are good to practice, especially blind contours, because I feel like garbage anytime I try them. Okay. Okay. If you guys want to know more details about this, you should go look at the basic drawing stream, but I'm going to explain it briefly. So I actually have the book open here. The Natural Way to Draw is a very, very old book from a guy that teaches you to draw from zero, right? And he puts a lot of emphasis in gesture drawing, which is like the energy of your drawing, and also on contours. Most people talk about spend most time talking about gesture drawing, which is very important, especially for animation because it's the energy of your drawing. But the author actually begins with contours. He tries to teach you to draw just drawing the contours of objects or models. And one of the exercises he does is, it's not called like this, but people call it blind contours. I'm going to try to explain you how it looks. This. So what the guy tells you to do is to here, desk, there, and you have a table with your drawing things and your pencil, and you will have a model in front of you, which could be whatever. I don't know, a vase or a person. Flower. Okay. What he will tell you to do is to try to copy the contours of this object, but without looking at your paper. Okay? How does that work? Or why does it want you to do that? It wants to teach you to synchronize the movement of your eye to the movement of your hand. So each time your eye travels through the contour of the object, your hand should be able to do a movement almost exactly at this one. So he's basically trying to teach you to draw automatically without even thinking. He's trying to turn you into a human printer, which could sound weird, but is actually a very good way to start, and is a very good way to teach you one of the skills that you will need later. That's called a blind contour. Okay, when you try to draw your model but without looking at the drawing, because if you're looking at the drawing, you're not looking at the model, right? Now, he will tell you that you can sometimes look at your drawing, but only to compare something like distances and stuff, and it's just a tiny glance, and then your eyes should come back to the object. University, we would do something very similar, but we would do a similar exercise. So we would be sitting here with our desk. We would have this like desks for computers where you have like a little tray here for your keyboard, but we wouldn't have like the computer or the keyboard. We would just have our desk and the tray, and the teacher would take a sheet of paper, normal white paper, and he would crumple it into some weird random shape, right? He would place it here in front of us, and he would tell us to draw it like with blind contours, but under the table on this little tray. So we totally could not see what we were drawing. We could only look at the object. And that's actually a very, very, very good exercise. The reason why people feel awkward doing it is because they later look at the drawing and it doesn't look at all like the object. But remember that these are exercises. Your objective is not to make a beautiful drawing. Is to exercise your vision, your hand movements and stuff. Like once you finish your drawing, you just throw it to the trash. You don't need it, okay? And you will notice that after you do it again and again and again and dozens and dozens and dozens of times, they will begin to look better. But that's probably the reason why people feel bad or awkward doing this kind of exercise. Okay, so I think this is one of the 3 most important exercises in that book. The first one is contours. To write this. Yeah, contours. The other is gesture. And the other one, I don't remember how they call it, but I think they call it weight or mass. Gesture. I haven't read this book in a long time because I learned what I had to learn, and that was it. Yeah, they call it weight. Which I think is something that I haven't taught you yet in the basic drawing string. I think we only talked about this one, but there's also weight, which is a very important exercise. I'm not going to explain you now because I have a lot of submissions to do, but the book is called, and you should read it if you want. The roll. Okay. The author is on. I think this is how you write it. Yeah. On. So this book is, I think, one of the best books to learn how to draw. It teaches you to draw very fast. It's way easier than other books, and if you do the exercises up to here, you can pretty much learn how to draw anything without having to think too much about like separating stuff on shapes like cubes and stuff like some other people do. I almost never do that because I learned with this method. I think it's better. When you read the book, the guy will give you like a very strict schedule to exercise because he's like assuming that you have like a full year just to study drawing, but you don't necessarily have to follow it. Like it's a bit unrealistic to follow it. You can follow it if you want, and you'll be great, but you don't have to follow it. And for animation, you can leave the book when he begins to talk about paint. There's some exercises where he will tell you to do some exercises with ink or with watercolors. Those are more like into painting. They're still cool to do, right? But if you're focusing on drawing for animation, you can pretty much leave the book there and go somewhere else once he begins doing that. Okay, so you don't spend your, I don't know, a couple of months doing exercises with oils and stuff just to learn how to draw for animation. You don't really need that. You can just do this. Okay. Comment. In between notes. Yes. All studios in Japan do the in between guides, the spacing charts on the receiving key. George is saying, hello, I'm from Peru, and thanks to your videos, I'm learning new things. Also in the Discord server. That's great. That's all I want to hear about you guys. Like that you're learning a lot from this. That's the best thing that you can tell me. He's saying muscle memory. Yes, if you do like the exercise as this guy tells you, and the way I told you on the basic drawings stream that we did, you will develop a very, very good muscle memory, and you will not have to think too much when you draw, which is great. Leo is saying, what the hell? I just started the book and exercises today. What are the chances? Yeah, what are the chances, really? You know, I also found this book by chance, by total chance, like 10 years ago. Like no one showed it to me. I just found it on the internet. But yeah, maybe it's fate. But great, you found the best book. So uh, keep going at it. Uh, Jericho is saying, "Oh, I arrived mega late." No, you are actually pretty early because we haven't done much. We're going pretty slow, so you still have a while here to stay with us. Emily's saying, "Yes, this is super educational. Thanks, Beast, for the stream. Thank you. Thanks to you guys for coming too. I'm glad it's useful." Nor Anime is saying, "I draw by the rules. It's like a puzzle." What rules? But I guess if it works for you, then great. This is, of course, what I'm telling you is not the only way you can draw, right? There's people that has other methods to learn to do their stuff, but I'm just showing you the ones that work best for me, especially because I'm a blockhead and I do not do good when systems are too complicated. So I'm showing you simple and fast ways to learn stuff. Jericho is saying, "I use Luminous Fun with a pencil and then Proco exercises for gesture." I read some Luminous books. I don't know if I read that one. Probably I did at the university, but I don't remember it specifically. About Proco, I have a couple of issues with Proco. How do I say it? I don't use Proco too much. I have tried to use his videos several times, but I generally find that they're not what I need the most. And when we talk about gestures, I think the gestures that Himon teaches you on this book, the book I just mentioned, are the actual gestures. Proco does some kind of gestures that is generally what they teach you at art schools, which are, in my opinion, not actual gestures. They are something we used to call rhythm, which is something you do after the gesture. I think I explained that on the basic drawing streams, but it's okay. If you work with Proco, that's great. But try to compare the gestures that Proco does to the gestures that Kimon Nicolates teaches you, and compare them, because they're different, and it might be interesting for you to see the difference. Okay. By the way, okay, the preview of the YouTube channel sometimes get frozen, and I get very scared that you guys are not looking at what I'm looking at. It's okay. Okay, how much time have we been here? An hour and a half, man. We haven't done almost nothing. Let me drink a bit. Marshall is saying, yeah, for animation it's more important than line of action in gesture drawing. Yes, I think when you dominate gesture drawings as Timon Nicolates teaches you, the line of action will be intuitive for you. It's like different concepts that they all come together when you understand certain stuff. CX Soundburst is saying, hello, first time watching live, nice. Your second key animation videos were incredibly helpful. That's great. Great to hear. great feedback. Nice it was useful. You should also watch the other ones and let me know what do you think about them? Marcelli is saying Proco approach is more towards classic drawing. Yes, I think that's probably the case. As I said, during my university years, I tried to watch Proco a lot, and every time I watched it, I found out that it wasn't the information that I needed, or at least not the way I needed it to be explained. That's just my personal experience with Proco. But again, a lot of guys say it's very useful for them, so it's okay. Okay, let's go to the next submission. This. Oh, this one is very interesting. Also very long. Great Teacher Onizuka. You guys watched that anime? I watched just a few episodes. It's very, very funny. I just stopped because of work, but maybe I should finish it. It's very, very funny. It's very well made too. And the opening is so good. I have it in my playlist. Very, very good anime. Okay, so we have, I suspect these are several cuts. Let's play it. Nice drawings, by the way. Okay. Looks great. Looks great, right? Very nice drawings. And everything looks pretty correct at first sight. Of its and timesheets. But again, these are several timesheets. I think I've said this before. I don't wanna sound like I'm scolding you guys, but when if you want to do several cuts, you can totally do it, but please send me one video per cut because it's just easier to review. Okay, you can also send me like the whole sequence, but if you can send me like cut 1, preview of cut 1, preview of cut 2, preview of cut 3, it's easier to correct. Okay. By 3 at the 3. I think you have another name on the Discord, right? Because I think I recognize this. Okay, 4 seconds, 96. Okay. Oh wow, we have some layer transfer. So hand is B, right? Are we looking at the right cut though? Cut 1 or 0. Okay. Okay, let's see what. So we begin 1, 1. On 8, we have this in-between guide. On 12, we have 3. Okay, I see what happened. This is what was confusing me. Here it says tome, which means still, roughly. This tome, it means still. It means that whatever you're showing me will not move during the whole cut. Okay? Here, you wrote it even though everything or a lot of stuff are still moving in the future. If you write tome here, you cannot move this layer anymore until the end of the cut. Okay? So that was the first confusing thing to me. It was like, am I looking at the right sheet? Okay, so don't forget that, okay? So B is the hand, C are the eyes, D the mouth, and A is the body. If I look at the timesheet, looks pretty okay. Again, home, remember, do not use it if you're still going to move yourself. You can just do the line like this. Okay, when you're going to keep stuff still for just a bit, you just do the line. Home is for the whole thing. Home is the same as the squiggly line that we use when something is not going to move anymore. And she looks okay, but I'm going to take a look at B 51. That and then it does kind of begins again, right? It does kind of a not a cycle, but you reuse some keys, right? That's why it says before and on a in-between guide. Get your spacing charts. Here's one thing. I think I'm looking at this the right way. If the person who did this is watching, you can maybe correct me. This spacing chart should look like this. An empty middle, I think. Then an empty middle here. And an in-between here. So then here in the middle. And the the arrow. Oh, but this is... Okay, but here's the thing. Circles and these lines are different. Okay? Here in the timesheet, you're showing me only lines, right? These lines that mean in-betweens. You sometimes can see also tiny circles. What those circles means, they are recycled in-betweens. Okay, when you have something like a cycle or a movement that goes from one key to the other and then comes back, and you want to use the same in-between, you do a circle instead of the line to tell the in-betweener that they can reuse the previous in-between without having to redraw it from zero. Okay, here I see only circles and I see here only lines, so there's a discrepancy, right? You will have to decide which ones are just in-betweens or which ones are being recycled. Also, try to do your spacing charts a bit bigger. These are kind of tiny. Like you can use more space to do them. Like they are important, so they should be visible and clear as much as possible. What else? One. Okay, I think I understand. What is this? This is the empty middle. I guess this is the other middle, and this is the middle of that middle. I guess it still be a bit clearer, but so something interesting here though. Oh, still circles. Remember, circles, lines are different. Oops. Again, here a tome that shouldn't be there. And again, I'm being very nitpicky with the spacing charts and stuff because the animation actually looks very good, so it doesn't really need too many corrections. Here's one thing though that it's important. Here, the eyes are on C. Okay? But look, it's both the eyes and the eyebrows are on C. But you see that the eyebrows and the hair overlap? You have to be very, very careful with that. Because what if you have to know how the character is going to look at the end. Are the eyebrows always on top of the hair? Like they're always visible even if the hair should be on top of it? Or is the hair always on top of the eyebrows? You have to know that. Generally, because of that reason, you do not do either the eyes or the eyebrows, the ones that are in contact with the hair, in another layer. This eyebrows should probably be part of A of the body. Okay, because of that reason, it can become messy when you're dealing with hair overlapping over eyes or eyebrows. Okay, it's one thing that a very experienced animator taught me a long time ago. Okay, so you have to be careful with that. By the way, the sky looks okay. You can also you can do this for a sky, like just a grid, but you can also play a bit with the composition. Like if you need to balance something, you can do like a tiny clouds here or here, and you can still do that if you need. And the movement. Oh yeah, okay. This is why we have this all of these layer transfers, which are well done, I think. Just X X. And they look okay. This is the picture right here that is receiving all of this information from the other layers. You see that it becomes a bit more complex when you begin doing layer transfers, but the concept is actually very simple. Okay. This might be a thing more about direction rather than the animation itself, but it was weird to me because, again, super nitpicky. This character is very well lit. Like he's receiving the whole light of the sun, right? But when he moves a bit, like, and we see the position he's in, it looks like he should not receive this much light. Maybe he should have a bit more shadow on him apart from this, because of the position he's in. The next we see he's in the next cut, but again, very nitpicky, but it got me confused for a bit. And now the reason here's the reason I ask you to send me the previews separated, because when I want to look at the next cut, it doesn't begin from 1, so I have to get rid of the previous cut to begin from 1 again on the timesheet. So let me think what I do. Get this just to not lose the whole thing. Wait. Hide this. One. That should work. But you see, that's the reason, because I have to reset like the video. So if 1 changes to 2 on 4, okay, that timing is right. That it has. Out. Oh my. I had to reinstall the the driver for my end display and some of my buttons. The movement, okay. I think it's good that you shadowed this one because it's an important pose, but I think you should have also shadowed some of these poses. Maybe this one should have been shadowed too, because it will be hard for the person that comes after you to figure out the shadows for this one. So should have shadowed one more pose. This one looks okay. I don't think I have to. Okay, next step. This. Okay, maybe this. You know, but I still have to get rid of the actual numbers. Oh, 3, right? 2 plus 9. 7. Math is not that terrible now. Good drawings. Guide. Things like that, right? Okay, very minor observations. I think you should have also shadowed this one. If you shadowed this one, you should have also shadowed this one. Because this one is also important because he's looking up, so the light is going to hit him in a different way. Now he's looking down. And we're seeing his whole face, right? So you should have probably shadowed this one. This in between guide, it's okay. Like you did the in for the cell phone thingy he has, but this silhouette confuses me a bit. Like when you do like a silhouette or an in-between guide, like it should actually have the silhouette of the character, because I'm wondering what you're trying to tell me here. Like, are you trying to tell me that this shouldn't move from the last one, or are you trying to tell me that I should follow this order, like this in-between order for that silhouette? So when you do silhouettes or in-between guides, try to actually make them look like the character, so that it's not confusing to know what's actually happening. Okay, if I don't know, this in-between guide is supposed to be in the middle of two drawings, try to make the silhouette actually in the middle to let me know. Otherwise, it is confusing. Okay. Again, tome is not needed there. Tome is just needed when things appear here or appear just once. Like it could appear here, for example, and you can do tome at the end, or it could appear here. You could have done tome here, right? Next. But if you have all of the sequence here, it already happens, and you have more stuff behind, it's not a tome. Okay, so again, you don't need this for this. For this one, I'm just going to give you an aesthetic tip. How do I do? Try to not pile all of this information on top of each other. You can do this. Middle here, here, another here, here, and this is a normal in between. 2. This is normal in between. 3. In between. All of these arches, you can do them now here on top because you did this on the bottom. You see that you have all of this on top, like piling over each other, and it becomes very confusing. You can do them now here. And at some point, you don't have to do all of the tiny arcs. Like here, for example, I think it's enough. You don't need to tell him that this is the middle because it's pretty obvious. Maybe in this one. And that's enough. You don't have to make all of the tiny arcs. I still struggle because I remember these arcs have a name, but I cannot remember the name. They have a specific name. I do not remember it. Okay. Very nice cut. Next cut. Let me read what he says. Students in the custody of teachers suffer greatly. Penalty for having students involved in large-scale violent accident is punishable by 300 points. Okay, this is okay. This is actually a tome, I guess. At 4, just A. Yeah, okay. Tome is well used here because we have A and it doesn't move. What would happen though is they would if this was a real layout for a real production, they would not ask you to write all of this. They will actually tell you not to do it. What they will ask you to do is cover it with something. They would ask you to do a harikomi. Have you guys heard of that before? I'm pretty sure I've mentioned that before. harikomi is basically uh, a pasting area where they are going to paste a texture or an image that they previously made, like the uh, the screen of a cell phone. They always use it for that. So they're probably going to take a color like green, or in this case could be red because we already have green. It would be something like this. You'd have to limit the area and do something like this. Dude, actually, it would be good if you completed the the drawing of the screen, even if you're going to cut it later for the layout. But if you completed it so that you can do this cross and give them the middle, because when you do a cross from a square, right? You do this cross, you give them the middle of the thing. So if you complete the drawing of the screen, you can do the cross, give them the middle, and then just erase what's left. Okay, but that would have been good. You can find harikomis that look like this. With the cross, like this, with an X, or you can find some that look like this. They're both valid, but honestly, the best one is this one. Because it's way easier to do to get the center here than here. Okay, and then when you do the harikomi, you have to also write it. You write it here like a tiny notation. How do you write harikomi? It's like that, right? Do it like that, and you could also put it here. Memo, cell phone screen, harikomi. But you have to write it. Harikomis are generally in green, like in this very bright green, but you can also do them on red. Okay. They might also even ask you to do it here for the logo. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Also a possibility. They'll generally tell you that in the sete, like in the prop sete. Okay. Okay, how many cuts do we have left? One more. Try to go quickly. Just gonna erase. The bottom of my pencil doesn't work because I haven't set it. Final cut. Yes. Yes. Comment. Yes. Correctly. Play it. Good acting overall. Again. Why? And the same problem slash tip from all of the other cuts. Do an extra key for a settle when they stand up, especially for this character, because Onizuka is kind of a how do I explain it? It's kind of a carefree guy that kind of swings when he moves, right? Because he's kind of gangster, right, and very cool. Especially for him, he should stand up and do kind of a tiny swing, and then settle when he stands up, right? Otherwise, he looks very stiff, and it's not like his character. Okay, same as all the other cuts. Remember the settle. The background looks okay. I like the clouds; they look okay. The producer might ask you to put a bit more detail into this part, which I know it's a pain, but lately producers have become very strict with this kind of backgrounds. They will ask you a bit more geometry, even if it's a pain to do, but they might ask you maybe just a little bit less of a scribble and a bit more of a structure on this stuff. It still doesn't have to be like a very, very final background, but I am sensing that the PA will tell you to redo it a bit. Okay, but overall, great sequence. I like it. Very good acting. Very good keys, volume, everything. Maybe you should also shadow this pose. You shadowed this one, which is okay. You could also shadow this one, I think. Remember, the poses more important in terms of narrative and composition. These are both. Narrative because he begins sitting and then he stands up, that's narrative. And in composition because he's small and then he's big. You see, those are the two most important poses that you should shadow for your layout. Okay, but overall, super nice submission. Just please remember next time when you submit several cuts to submit one preview for each one. Okay, so like that I can correct them a bit easier. Okay, how much time? We have been here 2 hours. Or 1 hour? 2 hours. Wow. I wonder if we'll be able to finish. Let me read the comments. Line of action. Okay, Nor Animes asking. Did you make your own VTuber? Yes and no. I made the design, like the concept for it, and the concept for all of the toggles and the clothes and all of that. But it was made by someone else. It was made by Nika, who sometimes comes visit. And it was very special because Nika is one of the most legendary YouTube anime people, one of the very first people that began putting tutorials on YouTube about anime. So it was very special for me that he made my model. It's very symbolic. And it's also very nice. I like my model a lot. It's very expressive and cute. Okay, already this one. GTO, yes. Jericho is saying, thanks for the review on Proco. Recently, I have gotten interested in value rendering. Any recommendations, or is this more of an illustration thing? Value rendering. You probably mean. I wonder if you mean like cross hashing and stuff. If that's the case, that's not. We don't use that a lot on animation. We generally try to be very very simple. On our drawings, like try to not overload it with information. So I think that would be more of an illustration thing, if that's what you mean. Jurix is saying, yeah, you told me last time in the G drive folder, the cuts are separate. Oh, are these your cuts? Cuts. Oh. Oh, you're right. I didn't decompress it. I didn't decompress that part of the RAR or SIP. I didn't see it. Okay, my bad. My bad completely. Thanks for remembering, and I'll remember to decompress it completely. Sorry. Okay, but hey, I'll begin like recognizing your submissions from now on because they're all very good. Every time I see a good submission, I'll think about you. And he's asking, Harikami has another meaning. I don't know if I'm wrong, but I've seen it used for crowds of people, maybe? Maybe? I don't think so. I think you're probably thinking about Atari, not Harikami. Atari is generally used for crowds of people because Atari means placeholder. And you generally they make you draw like a stick figure, and then you write Atari, and that's what you use for crowds sometimes. But Harikami is generally for pasting complex images into stuff. I think that's what you're thinking about, Atari. That's another notation. Marshall is saying we need at least 1 hour more. We maybe more. Oh shit. Okay. Genji saying, can we use focus more on pose than detail? It feels drawing more pose as rough, cannot finish overall raw. Fine, let me read that again. Can layout focus more on pose than detail? Feel drawing more pose rough, cannot finish the full draw. Okay, I think I understand. Yes, layout should focus more on pose for the animation because it's actually the key animation. Details, like very fine details, will come later after the Sagan and when you do your Nigen, but you still need to put all of the details needed for the animation to work. Okay, so you might have some layouts with more detail and some others with less. But yeah, when it comes to priority, pose, like solid poses and draw and characters and volume are more important than the details on their, I don't know, eyelashes and stuff like that. Okay, love the BG. Yeah, it was a good BG. Brooks, thank you, Beast. Thanks to you. Then, oh yeah, Atari sounds more familiar to me. Yeah, I think you were thinking about Atari. Okay, we're not even half the way in, but this was a long one, so maybe the other ones will be faster. Let me read more questions from the marshmallows. Okay, we talk about the natural way to draw. This person is asking, this was 1 day ago. Do you think that animators trying to animate scenes from manga would mean it is a better chance for them to get an adaptation? Um, you mean that if you want a manga to be adapted, like, and whatever manga you want it to be adapted, and you have like this plan on your head that, oh, maybe if I do a lot of animations about this manga, studios will want to pick it and animate it. Maybe, but I think it's a very, if it's that what you mean, let me read the question again. Sorry. Do you think animators trying to animate scenes from manga would mean it is a better chance for them to get an adaptation? If that what you mean, like if people do fan animations about a manga, some producer will say, oh, maybe we should make this into a real anime. I think if that happens, it would be by chance, because what goes behind the decision of making an anime is generally kind of a more complex set of events, right? Because you need a lot of investors and you need a lot of rights and lawyers and stuff. Like, it's a very complicated process. It might be like maybe some producer will see your animation, which is very cool, and he'll say like, this has to be an anime and I have to get this guy to animate it for me. But honestly, that would probably be like a very small chance for that to happen. But it still is a good it's a good it's a very positive way to think. And if you want to do fan animations for your manga that is not adapted, is very, very valid. One thing, the first animations I uploaded to my Twitter were from Dead Demons, when there was no plan to adaptate it at all, and a few years later they decided to adaptate it, and they called me to animate on Dead Demons because they saw my Dead Demons fan animations. So yeah, it will influence something. At least it could influence that they want to work with you if you work on an animation like that. Yeah. Okay, next question. Oh my god, this one is kind of interesting. What can you recommend animators to eat to survive? It's kind of a dark question, right? Because we're kind of implying that we're kind of starving, which honestly might be the case. When you're beginning animating, if you're just by yourself, you might not have a lot of money to buy a lot of very nutritious food. I'm not a nutritionist, so do not take my advice at all, like completely. But I can tell you my experience though. I can tell you what I ate it, what I used to eat when I was very poor and doing animation. Let me do an extra project. Okay. This was when I was getting out of university and doing my internship in a studio, and I would earn like $120 a month. So I had basically no money at all. And I would eat this almost every day. I would buy frozen corn, like a bag of corn, 500 grams of corn. I would buy cucumbers, tomatoes, and a lot of cans of tuna. So every day I would take half of this bag, so 250 grams corn, one cucumber or two if they're small, cucumber, 1 tomato, hopefully big, 1 tomato, and 1 or 2 cans of tuna. And this would make a very big bowl of salad, like with fruits. It has fruits, cereal, and fish, which are all very nutritious and relatively cheap. If you just have the if you use 200 grams of corn, a big cucumber or two, a big tomato, and 2 cans of tuna, you can eat that for lunch and dinner, and then you only have to take care of your breakfast. And for your breakfast, you should eat something with fat, because that's what your brains need to reactivate in the morning. So milk, if you can drink milk, or maybe eggs or something like that. Try to avoid white bread, because white bread has basically no nutritional value. If you like bread, buy the most full grain integral bread that you can find. You can also buy like these Mexican tortillas. If you don't like bread, those are very good too. But yeah, this recipe of salad with tuna has kept me alive. It kept me alive for almost 2 years, almost every day, in a very decent condition, and it's still one of my favorite foods, so I eat it normally. So yeah, that's my actually very detailed tip on what to eat when you're an animator and you don't have a lot of money. It's actually very tasty. You just have to season it. I use a bit of lemon. You can use the buy tuna in oil, not in water, because water it's worth nothing. You'll have to get rid of it. Buy tuna in oil. You can use the oil of that. Like just drop the whole thing into the salad, and then just a bit of salt, and it's a very tasty salad. Yes. What do you think about my recipe? It's actually very good. I eat it regularly. I'm sure you were not expecting me to be this teacher. Okay, let me read the comments of it. If the manga has a lot of fans, and if it could be profitable, maybe, yeah. Derek is saying, from animator survival kit to animator survival meals. We could make a document like that. It might actually be useful. It might actually be useful. What the? What, gotta survive on Maruchan? No, guys. I mean, Maruchan and like instant ramen, they have no nutritional value at all. They are full of salt. It's honestly like eating styrofoam. It's just there to fill your stomach so that you don't feel hungry, but in the end it's worse for you, because you'll get a lot of salt and you'll actually use more energy to digest it than the energy that it will give you. So try not to consume too much like instant ramen and stuff if you are already like struggling with food and money. Okay. Life hacks, yes, literal life hacks. Saving in this case, animators documentary survival. That would be interesting. That would be an interesting documentary. I think Hideaki Anno did something similar. I think Hideaki Anno did something like a documentary kind of thing about the life of some anime directors, but I haven't been able to find it. And yeah, it kind of looks like what we all go through. Nor Anime is saying, how much is it normal to get per cut? Is it that bad? It could be very bad. Especially if you're working like just on anime. A lot of people, when they begin working on anime, generally have some other job and do anime on their free time. But if you're working just in anime and just beginning, yeah, it can get very bad. When I began working on anime, they would pay you 2,000 yen, which was at that time like $20. Now it's way less because the yen has depreciated a ton. So almost no one should offer you 2,000 yen per cut. They should offer you more. If they offer you 2,000 yens per cut, just tell them no, because it's almost no money at all. It's not worth it. Minimum now, I think 5,000, which is it's not even $30. 5,000 yen per cut, layout or Negan. So yeah, it can get pretty bad. But if you when you become, you can do two things will happen that will make your life better. You will become faster, so you will be able to do more cuts in less time. So instead of doing 1 or 2 cuts a day, you will do 4, and you will double your salary basically. And the other thing is that you will become better, you will become more experienced, you'll have more reputation, and you'll be able to charge more. So I do not charge the minimum anymore. I get more decent money now, and I don't struggle too much. Aki is saying, if you live in a third world country, it's not so bad. Yeah, that's also a factor. But it really depends on the economy. Marshall is saying, statistically, most animators don't pass 50. Maybe not being animators. I don't think they all die at 50. Some of them do, but they generally just leave the job because it's not worth it. Especially if you're in Japan. Tokyo is super expensive, both in food and housing. And if you're an animator in Japan, you have to begin from the bottom. So you begin as a in-betweener, and they have you there for a year or 2 years, and you make almost no money. So yeah, they leave the job very, very soon sometimes. Producers too, like PAs, they also leave. Generally work on anime for a very short time, like 2-3 years, and they're fed up and leave. Peg was saying, tuna salad yummy. Yes, it's the best. 5,000 yen? No, it's usually 2,500. Yeah. Honestly, it's up to your criteria. Like if it's something very, very easy that you can do in half an hour, and they want to, and you are okay with 2,500, you can tell them yes. But honestly, I think it's at this point, with the yen so devaluated, because guys, the yen is worth nothing now. Like it's worthless. It's like money from Africa or something like that. I think the minimum, the ethical minimum is 5,000 at least for a cut, even if it's a simple cut. And the guys will tell you, like, of course they will offer you the minimum. Like the PA will say, hey, how about 2,000 yen per cut, and you have to tell them, thank you, but no, like my minimum is 5,000. And you can even explain them, like I've told some producers, right? Like they have come to me and they tell me, hey, can you do this for like, I don't know, 3,000 yen or something like that, or 5,000? And I would tell them, yeah, I would love to, but the yen is worth nothing, so you will have to pay me a bit more for that. Yeah, it happens. Be be polite. Like, do not lash at the producers, because it's generally not their fault. But you also have to charge them what's right for the job they're doing, which is generally not an easy job. Okay. More questions. Nor anime is asking, is it normal with 300, 500 cuts per episode? You mean like, is it normal for an episode to have 300 to 500 cuts? Like, yeah, that's kind of the range. I think 300 is too little. It's generally around 450 cuts per episode, like 20 minutes. Generally between 400 and 500 cuts per episode. Los bichos de Axel. Can I just call you Axel? He's asking, have you done any mechanical animation? My English is bad. Don't worry. My English is also bad. No, it's not bad, but okay. Mechanical, not a lot. Honestly, it's not my specialty. My specialty is more like just normal organic characters. I do know, though, the principles of mechanical animation, but it's not very often that I have to do them. Jericho is saying, yeah, still, Yen still has more value than my country currency, as in 7 to 1. Yeah, but that's a bit different, honestly. Like, the value of the money, when I say that the yen is worth nothing, it means that it's worth nothing when you compare it to other important currencies. Like, I always compare the yen to the dollar or the euro, like, and the yen just went down, 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 down. So I say it's worth nothing now. But in your country, like, some countries have very, very, very small coins. Like, the currency of my country is also smaller or lower than the yen, but it doesn't mean that we are that depreciated. Like, it's relative. Okay, so don't be that worried about. Well, you should know the economic conditions of your country, I guess. Kai is saying, I have the bill to pay, man. Yeah, we all have. Aki saying, I will discuss this with my manager boss. Yeah, they will generally tell you that. The PA will generally tell you that. But hey, if enough people begin telling them this, like, we will not accept such low money, like 2,000 yen per cut or something like that. If enough people do it, they will have no choice and they will have to pay more. And again, it's not that we want them to pay more because we're taking advantage of them. It's because the yen is worth nothing and we need to eat. So yeah, begin like asking them for the money that's the right amount for your job. IDK is saying, I'm sorry, I'm new here. I've heard that being an animator in Japan is a bad idea because bad pay, long hours. But is it that bad? It can be bad. Because I'm trying to enter a Japanese university to study animation, but I'm not sure it's a great idea anymore. I still want to live in Japan. Okay, I'm going to tell you just from my experience again. If you want to be an animator in Japan, you don't need to go to school now. Maybe a few years ago you did, but now if you just want to be an animator and draw, you can just study from the internet. And you can work from your country maybe for a couple of years, and save some money and get good enough so that you can, I don't know, secure a contract with a studio, which will make it way easier for you to get a visa and a stable salary. That would be something wise to do, maybe. About school and about animation schools in Japan, you have to be very careful. I'm not only in Japan, honestly, with all animation schools around the world, because the standards vary a lot, right? As far as I've seen, animation schools in Japan are not that impressive. You have to look very carefully at them. Go to their website, look at the works from the alumni, ask them to send you the study plan, and be very, very careful with that to see if they're actually going to teach you what you need. As I said, if you just want to be an animator or a Sakuga Kantoku or something like that, you don't need to go to university. Like, you can just skip it and learn from the internet. Now, if you want to focus more on like anime filmmaking, like I do, like you want to be a director and know about pre-production and art direction and all of that stuff, which is more like a deeper, then yeah, you could probably try to go to school. I did. I went to school, but I'm not just an animator. I'm a filmmaker. So yeah, you have to consider that very, very carefully. But yeah, if you want to know if being an animator in Japan can get very bad, it can get very bad. It can also get very good eventually if you are very good. But yeah, it's not that easy for most people. You just have to read the tweets from the actual animators on Twitter and see what they say daily. Uchuman is saying, power cuts budgeted. Do shots with more characters are paid more? Are head turns shots paid less than run cycles? What's the hierarchy? Honestly, that comes from negotiation. Producers will try to make you do as much work as possible for as little money as possible. So if you receive, you always should tell them that they will give you a base price, but you should tell them that if a cut is more difficult or has some complexity, you want to negotiate it higher, right? So you will receive. They should send you like the cuts they want you to do. They should show you the storyboard, and the duration and all of that. And you could say like, okay, I'm going to do. Let's say you have 10 cuts. I'm going to do 7 of these cuts on the base price because they are normal cuts, but these 3 cuts, they are more difficult because the characters are moving a lot, or there's a lot of characters or something. I want more money for these ones. And if the PA is reasonable, they'll probably say yes. That's how it works. Okay, Aki is saying, I'm in first year uni right now and I'm working on anime. It's pretty hard but manageable. But if your school time permits it, maybe you can study a lot yourself, earn a degree, arts related, then get a work visa to be able to work in Japan. Yes, that's kind of what I did. I was already out of university when I began working on anime, but the fact that I have not only an art related degree but an animation degree makes it way easier for me to get a visa in Japan. So you could also like consider a degree for those purposes. Otherwise, you'll have to do stuff like I don't know, get a student visa that allows you to also work. A lot of the young animators that travel to Japan to work, they do that. They get a student visa, they go to a Japanese school during the morning or the night, and they work on their spare time. That's how they do it, because that's how they do it when they do not have a degree that allows them to get a work visa. Ba-ba-bum. Raffle is asking, which animation school did you go? I will not tell you because of privacy, but I can tell you that the school is not what it used to be, so it would be useless to tell you anyway. It was a very good school at that time, but now it is very different. The curriculum is totally different, and I would not go there now if I had to, sadly. Like we had a very good run, then I left the school, or my generation left the school, and the school changed completely, so it's not the same. So there's no use that I tell you where I went. Thanks for the advice. Nice. Hope it's useful. Arshel is saying, not related to the topic, but have you worked for Trigger? I think Trigger is probably the only studio I haven't worked for, or one of the very few studios I haven't worked for. Maybe I have, honestly, because I've worked on dozens of animes, and maybe I don't remember, but I always have like Trigger like going around my head, like saying like I probably haven't worked for Trigger. So if I have to say, I probably haven't worked for Trigger yet, but maybe I have, and I just don't remember. Like saying, by the way, cuts, layout plus Negan. Yes, generally the producer will assume that you will, that when you sign with them, or sign like, because you don't really sign, they will assume that you will do both layout and Negan, and they will pay you separately for each one. Like, I don't know, 5,000 yens per layout, 5,000 per Negan. That's why they will assume. Sometimes you only have time to do the layout, and they will give the Negan to someone else. There will be second key. Jericho is saying, you want to be a director? That's cool. That's cool. Cool AF. Any Western or anime directors you love? Yes. I've actually directed a couple of stuff already, like shorts, but I've already directed. I directed stuff for Cover Corp for Whole Life and Niji Sanji, so I technically directed stuff for Japan already. I know how to do it. I know the job already. Obviously, doing like stuff, like longer stuff, like episodes and stuff, have their own challenges, right? But I still have the basis at least. My favorite Western director for anime is Michael Arias, which I think was the very first Westerner to direct an anime movie, which was Tekken Creed. So yeah, I do have my favorite Western anime director, Michael Arias. You can search for it. Rafa, I hope I'm pronouncing your name all right. Rafal, you can correct me. He's saying, "Oh, I wouldn't expect an animation degree to be useful in Japan. It actually is. If you want to get a work visa for an animation studio, it's actually valuable." Uchuman is saying, do anime studios share assets like backgrounds, trees, fires, etc.? I don't think so, at least not openly. Maybe what could happen is that, for example, two different studios, let's say Trigger and Mappa, for example, are they contracted the same background studio for two different animes, and the background studio uses the same type of clouds for both. Maybe that could happen, but it's not something that's done openly, like no between studios, unless one studio owns the other studio, and then that's different. Like for example, Trigger and Gainax and Kara, they used to have like these relationships where one would own the other and stuff like that, or one would be investor in the other, and they would sometimes share some assets. For example, the sound effect for the final monster on Divaster from that was Gainax, I think. Divaster was Gainax, was still Gainax, not Trigger, Gainax. So that the sound effect for that monster is the same sound effects for Ramiel for the rebuilds of Evangelion. So different studios, same assets. But again, they had this disconnection of one studio like owning the other or being invested in the other one. Okay. Man, we have spent so much time. I think we'll have to do a second stream. But okay, I'll still keep reading your chats because interesting. Rafa is saying, I don't really need advice about looking for animation school as I'm already studying at one. I'm just always curious about animation schools. Yeah, well, nice that you're in one. Hopefully it's a good one. But yeah, animation schools honestly vary a lot in quality. I had the luck, like the very, very big luck of getting into a good one at that time, because some other animation schools are honestly terrible. Yeah. So you should, if you want to go to animation school, you should do your research very seriously. Rafael saying, it's good pronunciation, no worries. Nice. Nice. You can always tell me, guys, if I'm butchering your names, because sometimes it's just hard to read. Archel is saying, like, IG Productions with studios. Yeah, they probably have something like that too. They might share some assets and stuff. Axel is saying, my first job for animation was an 8-second loop for Spotify. I had a flu and finished it in 3 days. Storyboarded, layout, design, background, rough, line work, colors, etc. Got paid $12? What? Am I reading it right? Man, I mean, it's impressive that you were able to finish all of that with the flu in 3 days, but man, the money is... I don't think it's right. But yeah, it's still impressive. Hopefully you're getting better jobs now. I really hope so. Marshall, second stream. Yeah. Ruffle saying, I'm in the animation workshop, so I'm very lucky. Oh, is that like is that an online school? The animation workshop? I think I've heard of it. I've probably considered it at some point. I might have to Google again to see what they're up to. Uchuman is saying, please share your knowledge on manga studios, their conditions, pipeline, pay compared to anime studios. I have no idea. Honestly, I'm not a mangaka. I've never worked for manga studios or anything, so I have no useful information about that. Sorry, not at all. Okay, what should we do? We still have like 20 minutes for the 3 hours. We should probably try to make more critiques. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to erase my my excellent recipe for tuna salad, which you can watch later on the VOD. I'm going to Guys, I'm probably going to have to do a second stream to finish your submissions. I'm really sorry, but we had a lot of submissions this time, and we had the questions. But hey, it cost me nothing, honestly. Okay, next one. Oh, I finished my drink. I'm thirsty. Uh, this cut is by King Cabbage. Oh, this is Maho Shoujo Ikisei Keikaku. I like that series. I had higher hopes for that series. Did you guys watch that anime? It was with the magical girls that was very gory. I think they were trying to do like a new Madoka or something, but it wasn't that good. It was entertaining. I watched it until the end, and it had kind of a surprise ending. Do you guys watch that anime? I still remember some of the characters. My favorite character was Hardcore Alice. That's the coolest anime name ever. Hardcore Alice. Those so cool. Swim was cool too. Honestly, the Mahou were actually very cool in this series. Sadly, the animation quality went down a lot at some point, and it never recovered. The other one that was very cool, there was some mecha anime girl. She was like a robot. She was very cute. I liked her. But okay, enough Mahou. Mahou is my favorite anime genre, by the way. So I'll just go on endless Mahou talks. Bigger. Well, this is the girl that had like a she used to fly like with a broom, and the broom had like a jet turbine on it. That was very cool. I remember that. Wish the anime ended up better. Okay, look, this one actually has kind of a settle. Let's look at it. It's here. Long time. Two. Yes. Yes, this pose, which is kind of an overshoot, and then she settles. You know what? I think that the animation is okay. The problem is that it's not very visible because the background is gray and the character is transparent. So it's very hard to actually see because just now I noticed that in this pose, her arms are in a different position. You see? That was hard to see. Like if you used like a base color for her, like I don't know, like very pastel orange or something like that, it would be way easier to actually see the animation better. So there, and anticipation, in between guide, and up. This is a coverage, which is the body. Oh, the body is B. The hair is A. What is C? C. Oh, I see. Guys, do not export your drawings like this in transparent. Export it with a white background, please. It will be very hard to visualize it outside of an animation software. Like if you open it with just the Windows gallery thing, you will see nothing. Okay, so C is the thingy on her neck. Okay, here's a problem. It has a layering problem because look, she's B, right? All of the character is B. Then she stands up, and then she's separated in 3 different layers. Now her body is B, the hair is A, and this thingy on her neck is C. But on the timesheet, we do not necessarily see that because there's not a layer transfer. Do you guys remember layer transfers? You have to tell the person in the timesheet that part of the character or part of one layer has to another layer. Okay? So how could we do it here? 52. Probably. So this is the body, her body on this pose before, and here we separate her in several layers. So we would have to do something like this. Arrow here, arrow here, to tell them that the hair has to A, and then that the thingy on her neck has to B. Okay, this is enough, honestly, to tell them. As the things keep existing, like they don't, like this doesn't get canceled, for example. This is enough. How the person that's reading the timesheet will know what was the transfer, like what part of the layer passed to the other layer, they'll have to look at the drawings. Like that's what they will have to do. But that's okay. That's how it's done. think it technically works in terms of layering. Could have been done differently. For example, you could have just not done could have just not done C, which is this layer. You could have just done because this layer C synchronizes almost perfectly with the body. It only differs here because the body stopped moving and C kept moving. You could have done a partial hold and just kept everything on B. And you didn't really need to separate this. It still works, but you could have done it maybe simpler. Okay. Now another thing that why it's a bit difficult to review again is because you're doing the spacing charts in the Western way. You're doing them on the first key, not on the receiving key. You see, B1, you made the spacing chart here instead of B2. It should be on B2. And remember that if there's in-betweens here, between B1 and B2, you have two in-betweens, one and this one. You have to put them here. Otherwise, if you only do this could mean a totally different thing. The person that's looking at it, like the director, might be confused and think like, okay, what's happening here? Maybe this is the right one and this is empty and he just forgot to put it, or I don't know. But the correct way to do it is like this. Okay. If you have these X's here and they last for a long time, but they have something in the future, you have to do the long line. In black, of course, using red just to, like, you have to extend the whole line. Basically have no choice. Because I think some people do this. For example, one. I've seen some people do this. Right? But if you do this, it's not completely clear because the director might see this and think like, okay, is this like just a hold until one, or there's something here? I don't know, maybe a better example. Say whatever. The director might think there's something missing here, like for example an in-between. The animator forgot to put an in-between there, so you have to extend the line until the end. Okay, like here. So about the animation, now this is more about like directing, honestly, but you are directing your cut, so I'm going to talk about it. I think she's staying still for too long, like almost 2 seconds of her like frozen. She could have been at least like twitching or something if she's like struggling, but she's frozen there for almost 2 seconds, so it looks weird. Okay, then she anticipates. Then there is this in-between guide, which honestly, I wonder if actually necessary. Yeah, maybe because she lowers her arm. Sure. Like, okay, and you can do that if that's what you wanted to express. That's kind of the only thing that I can think of that might need the in between them. She stands up very fast though. She just whoosh jumps. But I think maybe probably with the in betweens it will probably look alright. B4 to B5, it has two in between. Okay, yeah. I think it will look okay. As I said, it does have the settle pose. Overshoot, stands up, overshoot, settle. But look at this. Her arm movements, she has her arms like very, very behind here. And then she kind of snaps them here. Even though it has two in-betweens, maybe it might need an extra overshoot and settle for the arms. I'm kind of predicting that it will lack that once it has the in-betweens, because it still looks kind of stiff. Because you see that her hair settles after. I think the arms need something similar. Obviously not on the same timing, because that will look weird, but I think they will need something like that. Otherwise, it's pretty nice. I think the proportions are okay. I haven't looked at this today, honestly. Oh, I hate when they give you this scanned setes with made on pencil. They're very hard to read. Okay. Yeah, now that I look at the sete, you're actually lacking some elements. Like, I know, for example, let's look at this. Has this, like, how do you call this? This neck piece here, and her earrings, and her ears are a bit visible, and she has these hairpins, right? And they are present kind of here in this first key or first pose. Then she does these movements, and then they are not present. You should not do that. Okay, if they are there in the sete and they are part of the animation, they should be here. And looking at the earrings, it looks like they would also move like the rest of these elements, like the hair and all of that. So you probably have to animate the earrings doing something similar too. So do not forget about that. And okay, well, I don't know if she has the cape. She should have or not have the cape, or something. But you should at least shadow some poses. If we are thinking about like this being sent to a studio, you should shadow at least this pose, the first one, and probably the last one, this one. They should have shadows, because they're necessary. Okay. About the background, I'm not very sure what's happening with the background. What's... So I guess this is kind of a piece of rock or rubble. She doesn't collide with any of this, so this can actually be part of the background. It doesn't have to be a book or an extra layer. But I'm confused about what's happening here. I think the director would ask you, like, okay, what's on the background? Is this guy, or is this a wall? Right? You should at least give me a perspective grid, right? Because yeah, if it doesn't have any information here, it's technically incomplete, so we don't know what's happening there. Okay, so don't forget about that. Also, it would have been nice. I've told you guys this before. Hopefully you will remember. Try to send me a... Yeah, I can do it myself. What I'm talking about. Try to send me a preview with the camera, not all of the, not only all of the layout like this. I want to see the camera. I want to see what the viewer will see on the TV. Okay, look, I thought it was, I said this about the camera because I thought it would, the feet being out of the camera were going to look weird. They don't, they look okay. But what ended up looking weird to me is the tip of her hat, like colliding very like at the border of the screen. So maybe you could adjust that a bit so it goes a bit higher or something, because it looks kind of weird to me. Like it looks kind of almost like a tangent. Okay, so you could do a back and forward with that kind of stuff. But that's why it is important that you guys try to visualize this with the camera, and hopefully send me a version with the camera too. Okay, because when you send it to the studio will actually ask you for the one with the camera, not the one with the whole layout. Okay, if you want like real examples, look at the Google Drive on the description of this videos and the previous streams, and then we have like actual cut delivery folders, like layout folders, and you'll see how each file is configured. Okay. Okay, very nice overall. I like the drawings. The drawings are very good, but remember not to omit the important parts of the character, even if it's layout. Like sometimes people think like, oh, okay, it's layout, like you don't need to draw everything, but you honestly, every part that is important, you should. Okay, let me read more comments before I lose my voice. My first education workshop, knowledge about which I don't have. Okay, Rafael is saying it's an on-site college which gives you a bachelor of animation. Okay, it's what I thought it was. Yeah, I've probably been there on their site a couple of times. Takami is saying, does copying other animation good for practice? it depends on the kind of copying you do. I think I gave several exercises on the basic drawing and basic animation streams. Those are good exercises about also like copying some stuff and learning from some stuff, but you have to be careful like which kind of copy you do, like what method of copying, because some copying is more useful than others. For example, tracing is generally not that useful because your brain just shuts down and you don't learn too much when you're tracing. But if you're copying from one side to the other, or maybe, I don't know, trying to copy a walk cycle or a run cycle or something like that, that might be useful. Take a look at the streams though. Basic drawing stream and basic animation stream. You might find some useful exercises there. Learn. Marshall saying, how do you pay bills with that? You're talking with the other guy. Ruffalo is saying, it's currently number 3 in the world on animation career review, behind Govalance and Sheridan. Wow. I didn't know they have those rankings. I know some people from Govalance though. ADK saying, bye, thanks for answering my queries. No problem. Have a nice day. Nice, it was useful. Actually saying, I tend not to watch anime anymore because my animator brain gets activated and I analyze instead of just enjoying. Yeah, it's sometimes it's a bit difficult to separate both. I still watch anime and I'm able to enjoy it just like a normal weeb. But I generally do this. I watch anime just like a normal viewer, and then if the episode is really cool, I watch it again and then again. And I watch it a couple of times to analyze it after. But yeah, sometimes it's difficult, especially at the beginning. Like your brain begins to just analyze everything and you don't pay attention to the story and stuff. I understand that. Uchuman is saying, why is drawing incomplete in the second frame? You mean this one? Maybe we're too late for this one. This one is an in-between guide. It doesn't need to be complete. This one though is kind of a very rough in-between guide. Honestly, I would have tried to make something a bit more with a bit more structure. This one is a very rough in-between guide, to be honest. But in-between guides do not have to be the complete drawing. If that's what you meant. But I don't know. Oops, Uchuman is saying, I also see the same on Twitter. Sometimes frame has only silhouettes. Yeah, those are generally in-between guides or partial holds, which have explained already on the previous streams. Partial is saying, and what do we write if the background is just a color and nothing is drawn? Okay, that in Western animation could be two things. I'm telling you about Western animation, and then I'll tell you in Japanese. In Western animation, you could have two things. You could have, or several things, honestly. If you have a flat color in Western animation, it is called a color card. Like Western animation again. Flat color. Or color card. And the notation is CC with a circle. It could also happen that it is a gradient, just a normal gradient of color. Gradient is also a color card. It's the same. Flat color or gradient, color card, CC. Now, there's some other backgrounds that are a bit more complex, but are still not really like an environment. Like, for example, let's say you have let's say this is kind of a comical scene or something. You have a character, and the background is full of I don't know, fools. You've seen this in anime a lot of times, right? Or manga or whatever. This kind of backgrounds in Western animation are called limbos. Limbos. And limbos, instead of depicting an environment where the character is, they depict generally an emotion or an idea. Okay. In Japan, you will find the same cases, but what you generally write is image VG in Japanese. How do you write this, honestly? I think translator. I'm forgetting my katakana. Come on. But I don't wanna write garbage. Okay. Yes. What I'm doing. That's how it is. Yeah. Kind of like that, probably prettier. Yeah. BG, which is basically image BG. And why do you write that? Because if there is a color card or a limbo, it means that they already planned for it. They don't really need you to do a layout for it. Like the director already knows that they have to use a color card or something like that on your background. Exceptions, like something that could happen, is that these tools, for example, are animated, like they're moving or something like that. In that case, they should be cells probably, and you would have maybe a color card at the background. But yeah, generally, image EVG is what they have told me to use in productions. Man, I have to go back to my katakana again. I leave it for like a month and then I begin to forget, and that's terrible. What are you guys saying? That the background is just a blue color? Yeah. Color card or image EVG. Permission to ask. Don't ask permission. What advice do you have for beginner animators? Oh my god, that's a very, very broad question. First advice for beginner animations, learn to draw first. Before you begin to try to animate, learn to draw, which is the the advice that most old animators will tell you. Richard Williams in his book and his videos, the first thing they tell you, apart from like not listening to music, is learn to draw, because animation is 80% drawing, 20% animation. You can learn animation super quickly, but drawing will take you years, and you will never stop like learning drawing. So if you have time, focus on drawing, and then animation will come way easier. Partially saying, yeah, Toon Boom has a color card in the notes part. Yeah, you see, guys, it's an official term. I still remember some of the official Western notations. I actually had like I had a very old notepad, like a physical notepad with some Western notations from like Disney and stuff that I asked to one of my teachers, and I wonder if I can still find it. They were not a lot, honestly, because they are no longer used, so they just gave me the ones that they remembered. But I used to have the actually saying, thank you. I will submit for next month critiques. The VG is just a blue color card. Yeah. If you submit for the next one, write Imeji VG and I'll understand. And maybe you can write, I don't know, Imeji VG blue color, and that will be clear. Okay. Aiden Browner is asking, are there any tools more commonly used in JP than in the West? What kind of tools do you mean? Like software or like analog tools? Let me know. Let me know and I'll answer you. Marshall, now I know what to write. Nice. You can take a capture or watch the VOD later. Let me know, Aiden. What tools do you mean? Let me read some more marshmallows so that we don't drag it too much. Ooh, this one is long. Okay, but it was asked 1 day ago, so I should answer it. How do you plan in-betweens? I find the key poses and breakdowns easy to plot, but I get lost plotting in-betweens because anime timing is quite different from Western animation. Also, how are big space done without sketching? I don't understand the last part, but I can tell you how plan in-betweens is actually very easy. The key to know how to plan in-betweens and all that kind of stuff. Oh, by the way, before I finish this, but it is cut wrong. I think what you did was you were using this column, and then you continued in this column, but this column is the Doga column. You should not use it. You should continue on this column. This is your column to continue. Okay, so it probably should be cut around here. Yes, 3 plus 3. How much that is? 4 by 3. 4, 5 plus 3, 75. Because yeah, here you got your time in black, not in red. There, not here. This column is for someone else to fill. Okay, planning in-betweens. Actually very easy. The key to planning your in-betweens the key to planning your in-betweens is do your stuff on the right order. People get confused because they have to do a ton of drawings on a cut, like, I don't know, 25 drawings or something like that on a cut. They don't know where to begin or where to end. The key is to do the things on the right order. Remember the right order that I told you on the basic animation stream? First, your keys. First, your keys, which are the drawings that tell the story of what you're doing on your cut. The first one. Then your extremes, which are contacts or changes of direction of any part of your drawings. Then your breakdowns, or in-between guides in Japanese are the same. Right? And then your in-betweens. So here's the thing. Once you have done all of this on your timesheet, you only have spaces to fill. You could have one, so on, right? You already have your stuff. Let's say 3 is right, triangle. Right? After you have all of this, you only have spaces to fill. And you should just fill the space basically with your in-betweens. You have to take in account, of course, the type of action you're doing. For example, it's something else. One. Have that. I was just counting. You have 2 keys. These keys are the movement from hand, this one or A1, and it moves to this position. Right? So you already have the timing because you have your keys on your timesheet. You already know how much this action is going to take. Now you need to know how many in-betweens would you want to put here to make the movement visible the way you want. What you can do, if you're doing an anime, you can say, okay, we generally animate on 3s or 2s. Let's see how many in-betweens I can fit in this space if I do it on 3s. If I do it on 3s, there would be one here, and one here. So 3 in-betweens. And I can do whatever spacing I want, like this one, like this. I got distracted because my model got frozen. You can do it like this, or you can do it like this, right? And that's how you plan your in-betweens. Like, you already have your keys and your in-between guides and all of your stuff. Then you just have to fill the space. We could say like, okay, this movement, maybe it's a bit more subtle, like, or it needs to be a bit more detailed. Maybe I'll do it in twos. So let's say if we animate it on twos, like this. So now instead of three in-betweens, if I wanted to animate this on twos, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I will have to do the same. Decide the spacing for all of this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe. That's like an ease out and ease in, or it could be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, so it accelerates. Then you decide that depending on how you want this to move, right? But that's the key to planning your in-betweens. Do all of the other stuff first and leave your in-betweens at the end so that you're just filling the space. Okay? Because that's literally what in-betweens do. Okay? And if you have something like a bit more complex, you can add an in-between guide in the middle. But again, in-between guides are also in-betweens. Yeah. Use your in-betweens to fill the space once you have your important drawings already in place. Important drawings, keys, extremes, and breakdowns. Remember that the Japanese don't make any difference between keys and extremes. They just call them all keys, and they call breakdowns in between guides. And that's it. Okay. Okay, we are doing 3 hours and a half. Any window? Oh, okay, Aiden is talking about software. So question was, are there any tools more commonly used in JP than in the West? I guess, but not really. Like, there's to begin with, there's no so many animation softwares around, so they generally are like transnational. I'm pretty sure CSP is more used in Japan than in the rest of the world, like Clip Studio Paint. But we also have TV Paint, which is the one that I'm using, which I'm pretty sure is more used in the West than in Japan. But in Japan, they still use it. A lot of studios have it. OpenTunes probably, but OpenTunes honestly is hard to consider it like a professional animation software, being that it is so unstable. Frankie. Toon Boom, for example, almost never used in Japan. Still, some people use it. I think maybe 1 or 2 studios use it, but almost never in Japan. What else? What other tools? Like specific for Japan? Maybe maybe the plugins for After Effects, like the OLM, I think, plugins for After Effects, which are very Japanese, which are the ones that give you the anti-aliasing on the gradients and all of the stuff. That I'm pretty sure those are mostly Japanese studios that use it, or studios that work for Japan, like studios in the Philippines and stuff like that. They have their plugins that are specifically meant for anime. But again, there's not a lot of animation softwares around anyway. So yeah, like for example, what could we'd say about 3D? The Japanese for some reason likes 3D 3ds Max or 3D Studio Max a lot to do animation, which is kind of weird because I think the 3D animation software should be Maya. But again, they have this like overlapping stuff, right? um but then they are all like ditching that kind of stuff, and I think they're all trying to work with Blender now because it is free and better. Someone is saying Redis. Yeah, but Redis is almost dead now. I there's probably studios that still use it for some stuff, but Redis, all the important parts of Redis became part of Clip Studio Paint. They are the same company. So Clip Studio Paint basically was kind of a plan to mix all of those softwares to make a big software for everything, and Redis is part of that. So Redis itself is, I don't think should be already like should be considered anymore. I'm pretty sure some studios maybe use it for like, I don't know, scanning and stuff. But yeah, Redis is all very 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 old. When I was at school, like 10 years ago, it was already super old. So now it's mega old. Nor Anime saying, where can I find more info about Doga and storyboard? I want to learn more. I'm pretty sure there is a Doga stream very at the very bottom of this stream. I mean, of this YouTube channel, like some very old video that Jared or Will did some years ago. I'm pretty sure there's still some Doga videos there. Sadly, there's not a lot of like information in English on YouTube about Doga. Maybe I could see if we have some manual around the studio that I could share to you, but I don't promise anything because I don't know if that exists. About storyboard, actually, it would also not that easy because here's the thing: storyboard is a big process. What you see when they give you the storyboard, like the document, like the PDF, is the result of the storyboard process. So it's a way bigger topic than most people think. And you have, honestly, you can buy courses and read books and stuff, but you have to learn storyboard by doing it and receiving feedback. That's in my opinion, the only real way to learn how to storyboard is doing it a lot of times, receiving a lot of feedback, have it destroyed a lot of times, and then you learn from your mistakes. I think in the Atom Blaze site, which has a store, there's a storyboard for animation course that I'm pretty sure I bought, but I never watched. sorry if that was too loud. But Atom Blaze does good courses, so maybe that one is very good. Books about storyboard, I remember I read one, but honestly, was it that useful? Not really. I don't even remember how the book was called. Book about storyboard. Probably the best way to learn. Okay, here's a good way to learn storyboard if you want to grind it. You can reverse engineer something, like reverse engineer an anime or something that you like, which I've done, and it's a good exercise. Watch an anime and do a storyboard for the anime that you're watching. Like watch every cut and do it on the storyboard format. That's a great exercise. um, or look for anime storyboards. There's a lot of Ghibli storyboards around, um, and there's a lot of anime storyboards, honestly, around that you can watch. But here's the thing: like you say, I just want to have the basic understanding of storyboard. I don't think there's something as the basic understanding of storyboard, because, as I said, it's a very complex thing. You have to take care of stuff like continuity, directionality, um, just a lot of stuff. Honestly, it's a lot. I'm always thinking how I because I said I was going to do a storyboard stream at some point, but I'm always thinking, how am I going to approach it so I can teach you some useful, but not make it eternal. Okay. Okay, guys. We're going to have to do a second stream for this. I don't know when. Maybe on the weekend or this week. Sadly, I'm very busy because I have to do stuff in real life. But I'm going to finish this critiques at some point. In the next stream. Next stream, we're going to finish the critiques and the marshmallow questions. You can keep asking me marshmallow questions, by the way. I added the link on the description. You can ask me questions and then I'll answer them live. But again, we had a lot of submissions this time, and we took a lot of time, and we are more than 3 hours and a half, and it's very late. Okay, guys. Hope it was useful. If you watched your submissions being corrected, hope you learned some stuff. I also learned a lot when I watched your stuff. And if I didn't review your submission, I will. But I just took longer than I hoped. So stay tuned for the next stream, okay? And same with the questions. Okay, guys, we're gonna wrap it up. Thank you for coming. It was very nice. It was actually very nice to come back to streaming after my holidays. And even if I go to the countryside again, I'll try to stream from there. Okay, guys. See you later. Thank you for coming. Stay tuned for the next stream where we continue the critics. Bye bye.